Measuring Success Right, the official podcast of the Marriott Student Review, a podcast for students by students, where we connect the leaders of tomorrow with the issues of today.
You know, looking back, and that is success to me. Seeing that growth, seeing that progress. It might not be, did I cross the finish line? But I've gotten a lot further down the road than where I started.
Hello, and welcome to Measuring Success Right. I am this week's host, Tanner Stanford, and today I am joined by two students and young entrepreneurs, Samuel Sherman and Tanner Holle. Samuel hails from Mesa, Arizona. He graduated from BYU in 2018 with a degree in finance and is currently pursuing an MBA, also from BYU. Tanner is from Kennewick, Washington. He will graduate this April with a Master's of Information Systems. Together, Sam and Tanner are the owners of Amber Candles, a business based here in Provo, Utah that specializes in handcrafted, eco-friendly candles. Sam, Tanner, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Tanner.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Now, I'm curious, handcrafted, eco-friendly candles, where did this idea come from?
So candles kind of came as an idea of a result of I was cutting glass for drinking glasses, and once I had enough of them, I felt like it was a way to continue that kind of interest, while at the same time I was interested in starting a business just to learn about how to start it and some of the aspects to it. Candles kind of came as the idea because I was walking through, I think it was Nordstrom's, over Christmas, and they sell like $50 candles. And so it was like, there got to be some serious margins on these. So I figured it wasn't that hard to make a candle. So we kind of went in from there.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, how exactly are they eco-friendly? You mentioned that they cut the glass bottles.
Yeah, so all our candles are made out of recycled glass. So the majority of our candles are collected locally and from various types of glass bottles that have been previously used. So we clean them and then cut them into a candle shape container and sand them so there's not any issues with cutting. And then we make them into glass using sustainable wax and repurposed wood wicks.
Oh, that's incredible. Now, how was it pretty difficult going from, say, a hobby of like cutting glass to starting the business, coming up with a name, and going through all the legal process?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like what was exciting to learn about was how does someone go from an idea to actually selling a product and starting to make some money around it. And so it just was kind of like a learning process for me. I had already graduated. I had taken a couple classes about entrepreneurship and a little bit of the legal side of things, but I wanted to put it to practice. And you kind of just step by step. I started by filing the company as an LLC. From there, you get a EIN, which is like a tax number, which then allows you to get a bank account and then continue down the road and become more and more official as a business. So I think it just kind of one cascades to the other, and then you're able to develop the resources in order to kind of make it its own project instead of like, oh, this is a fun thing I do on the side with my own financing.
Okay. Oh, that's fascinating. Now, Tanner, have you been with Sam every step of the way? Were you walking with him in Nordstrom and, oh my gosh, $50 candles, there's a profit to be made?
No, I was not actually. So Sam had started the company. He had, like you said, filed for an LLC, got all those prerequisites done to be a business. Then we actually go quite a ways back. We've been friends for a few years now, and we were at his place one time just talking about our lives, what we're doing with ourselves after we graduate with our masters. And he was talking about this candle company he had started, and we chatted probably for an hour or two about it, and it just really fascinated me. Like you said, I've taken some entrepreneurship classes as well, and I left and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Basically all night. The next day I sent him a text and I said, Sam, I don't know if you're looking for a partner, but I would love to go in on it with you. And we discussed kind of different ways for us to do that, and we came to an agreement. And so I've been there maybe 3 to 6 months after he started the company. I joined, and that was about a year ago now.
Okay. Now, you hear a lot in the news about families and friendships being ruined because of business enterprises. Obviously, you two have a good relationship. So how do you maintain that relationship but still manage to run a business?
I'll go first. Like I said, we've been friends for about 2 to 3 years now, and I think one way that I really found success in managing a business as well as a friendship is knowing when we're talking in certain capacities. Like, we hang out a lot, we're together quite a bit, and we do things as friends and as business partners, and that's really helped me to kind of like compartmentalize that way. When we're doing business things, we're doing business things, and when we're doing friend things, we do friend things. Obviously, there's some overlap because that's who we are. That's what we do. But that's been a big help to me, kind of navigating that friendship and business partner line.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think like since we were already friends, it was like, yeah, this would be great because we already like bring like talents and like a good relationship into it. So I don't think it was so much of like a lot of difficulty and like, oh, when something comes up, we're going to like be a different person as partners in a business and then as friends. I think like the two kind of build on each other, and you know, it's been like great so far, just, you know, having both sides of it, but I think there's like a lot of synergies in between.
Oh.
And one other thing with that is, and like I said in our entrepreneurship classes, they talk and they say when you find a co-founder, be really diligent in who you choose. And like I said, I thought about it all night. This candle company Sam started, and Sam's somebody I trust wholeheartedly. He has a lot of integrity. I've seen that in a lot of different things, and that's why I reached out to him. If I didn't trust Sam, I definitely wouldn't have become a business partner with Sam. So that's one reason that I felt good about joining Sam, and it's been awesome since.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Make me feel good.
Now, obviously, there are a lot of other challenges that new businesses face. What would you say has been the biggest challenge for Amber Candles?
For me, it's just like time management, you know, like I think there's like we've always been doing other things at the same time, whether that's school or working full time. And so it's just trying to like not lose track of our goals and say, hey, like, you know, this is going to take a back seat, but really trying to like keep pushing that forward. And I think that when Tanner joined, that really took it to the next level, because I was ready to start my, you know, going into the master's program here and thinking, you know, I might have to put that on the back burner for now. But when Tanner started and we started like generating more sales, and it started to be, like the wheels started to turn faster and faster, it like kept me accountable and it kept me more motivated. But that's also like a challenge. It poses, you know, you have to deal with more time management, and as it grows and demands more attention and focus, then that just can become a challenge at times.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Part of the challenge that I've seen our company have is that my background is in information systems, so a lot of the computer and technology side of business, and Sam has a background in finance, and he's getting his MBA kind of around that finance specialty. And I think one aspect that we both are learning and getting better at is the marketing aspect of having a business, and we're learning each and every day. We've made some mistakes. I'm sure we'll make more, but that's been a big challenge for us as two people who haven't had too much experience in that space so far, either in school or work.
Okay. That's honestly really great to know. Now, Sam, you touch on this a little bit about the time management aspect. You're both in master's programs here at BYU, which by reputation, they're very strenuous. you have your own personal lives, and not to mention this business. Is there anything more that you do to stay on top of these aspects of your life?
Yeah, I think it helps to be organized, and when you take on more things, it forces you to then have more organization in your life and really compartmentalize when you're working on this or school or other things. And also at the same time, like I said, I think they build on each other. Like, this has made me a better student, because then I go into school and I think about, okay, how can this apply to what I am interested in and what I want to do? While at the same time, like what I'm doing with Amber and the relationships we have, and like kind of building on things just from personal experience, then going into the classroom feeling like, hey, I've had experience in this. I can understand this and see why this is relevant, and then speak and add to the discussion in classrooms about this. And then it's also just, it's fun to talk with our friends about it, and it's neat to see their reactions and kind of build on that. So I think in all, it kind of builds on each other.
In regards to time management, like Sam was saying, you have 24 hours in a day, and you'll find things to fill that time. And before Amber, I was filling my time with obviously good things like school and other responsibilities I had, but also time-wasting activities like social media and other things that we all know can just take up our time. And so it's been good for me to just kind of fill my time that I used to be wasting with something of purpose, like Amber Candles. And that's not to say this hasn't been hard. There's been different times where I have to decide, am I going to do some school stuff or some work stuff? And I think we all know the balance there. But I found a good way of being able to manage both, as well as my social media time.
No, I mean, I think we can speak for all of our listeners. That is definitely something that we all needed to reconsider in our lives. You talked about various challenges. Has there been anything that has surprised you in terms of like a lesson learned while you've ran this company?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be surprises. I think just like a lot of things that I'm not very experienced with, like we were saying, like the marketing was something that I had learned about in school, but I hadn't really had experience doing as a career or in a job. And so just kind of learning about that and learning like how much effort it takes can be surprising. Also, just you spend money on things that not always were the best decisions, right? And you think, oh, this will be a wise way to spend certain amounts when it doesn't generate the returns. And so sometimes that can be surprising, but it provides a good learning experience. And learning those now quick and fast help us to then make those decisions later on with probably bigger financial choices.
Just piggybacking off that, I grew up, my dad, he was like an entrepreneur as well and kind of ran a company. And I'd always hear him having like hard conversations with business partners and other people, and it seemed easy from afar. But like once we partnered up together and amongst ourselves and amongst other people that we work with, there's hard conversation you have to have as a business owner and co-owners, I guess. And like Sam was saying, hopefully future endeavors will involve maybe a lot more money and a lot more other things that we're getting experience doing right now as college students. It's been surprisingly difficult, but also surprisingly enjoyable to having those right now.
Yeah, no, totally. Now, you talked about, Sam, the marketing of Amber Candles, and I'm curious, how is it logistically? Are you guys selling in stores, online? What's the whole, how do you get Amber Candles out there, and how are people finding you?
So we kind of started with a website. That was our first start. That was like something important to me to learn for myself, was really kind of like what inspired me to start, was learning more about online sales and e-commerce and how it works and what's it look like on the business side of things when you get an order, and how do you fulfill on that order and things like that. And so the website was really how we started, and just developing and crafting around that. We've been doing different markets around here in Utah, which have all been really successful and a lot of fun and great learning opportunities. We're not in currently any stores right now, but that's another thing we're working on right now.
One of the things that we've also had difficulties with is, as I'm sure all the listeners know, if I explain to you guys a candle right now, you'll have a hard time envisioning that smell in your mind. And so when people go to our website, they see our candles, and regardless how good they smell, they can't smell that themselves. And so we found a lot of success in referrals, and people will buy a candle and then tell their friends that how much they love the candle. So that's been a big resource for us, is word of mouth and referrals and sales.
Now, have your friends and family, have they jumped on the Amber Candles bandwagon, or are they kind of hesitant about it?
Like jumping on in the sense of supporting?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody's super supportive of it. I think it's a good product because it's not overly expensive. It's something that you could buy as a gift for yourself or whatever circumstance, right? It's been great during COVID with a lot of people indoors, I think. And I think people are generally altruistic about that. They want to see other people succeed, especially our friends and family. That's something they want to see, and it's thrilling for them to kind of see on the outside and support where they can. Yeah.
Obviously, you started the business within the last year and a half. Where do you see Amber Candles being at, say, 5 years from now? What's next for Amber Candles?
There's a lot of potential for Amber Candles. Like we said, we have a website. We're in markets. We also are trying to get into different stores with wholesale. I think moving forward, me and Sam have to have some interesting conversations, because I'm about to graduate. He's about to graduate. We have to see, once we have full-time jobs, how Amber Candles can fit in with that. I would like to see it continue to grow and hopefully take more of a management role, me and Sam, and then have people that we could hire that does a lot of the other things that we are currently doing right now. That would be what I'd like to see in a perfect world. We'll have to see moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like everything, it's been a learning experience, So you start off with kind of with uncertainty about how popular it will be or what will happen. And like I said, I think when I was getting ready to start school, it was kind of maybe I'll let this kind of fade. But since it was growing, it was more and more interesting, and then taking on Tanner, and then we have some other interns. I think that it's kind of the same mentality going forward, just continually learn and adapting to and having that time management. And so going forward for Amber, I think it has the potential, like Tanner said, to have tremendous success. I think it's a great product. I think it fits a lot of different markets. And for me, it was something to give a little background. Was I was looking for a candle that I could have in my apartment. I was having trouble finding something that I felt was masculine and was scents that I would be okay with, and I didn't like the floral kind of things. So it kind of just generated as a space hey, this is a gender neutral, kind of earthy or more organic, kind of rustic looking candle that has a scent that can be in anybody's apartment, in any space. And so going forward, I think there's potential that people still want that. And especially here, there's a lot of students and, families and everybody kind of wants to have that, especially being indoors with COVID. Mm-hmm. Everybody kind of likes that, more fresh scents. So going forward, I think there's a lot of potential for it. I think it continues to grow, and, getting into stores and maybe doing some automation on certain aspects would alleviate some of our responsibilities in a sense, but I think that's just all part of the learning experience.
Yeah, no, learning is everything, and it seems like you both have really been enjoying that aspect. Now, obviously, here at BYU, there's a lot of students who will love to start a business. What advice do you have for them in that regards?
So my advice is just do it. I've had so many different ideas I wanted to run with throughout high school and college that I thought, man, this would be such a good idea, and it always got pushed to the back burner, and I never really did it. And then seeing Sam with his company and me joining that, that inspired me. And we haven't really talked too much about it, but Sam has started a few other companies, and I'd seen that, and I thought, you know what, he's kind of done what I've wanted to do, and I want to join that and learn from him and learn with him. And my only advice is just, if you have an idea, do it. And if it fails within 3 months, at least you learn in the next one, you'll be more successful. And that's my advice.
Hey, you guys are making me feel way too good about myself. Yeah, just to say what, like, kind of right off that, what Tanner said, I think my favorite word is go. And so for me, it's just like, hey, just like go do it. Just like experience it. As a student, like everybody's here, they're taking time off of working full time and having opportunities to, you know, make money and have a job. And they're coming here to learn, and they're taking time off to actually spend money to learn. And so for me, it's like, take that opportunity to also learn by doing something. You know, go out and take the education that you've acquired so far in your classrooms and other internships or experiences and apply it to something that you're interested in. And like Tanner said, just do it. Just try it out. Put some money into it. You don't have to, you know, take out a ton of money or loans or worry about, you know, I got to go all in or not. You know, it can just be incremental. And I think that's kind of have been for me. It's just like, I'm interested in this. I'll put some money into it, figure it out, and step by step. And as you like start to see some money in, it's a really cool confidence booster saying, hey, actually people are finding this valuable. And, you know, what else can I do to increase that? And what am I learning from it? And so I feel like just taking that first step really goes a long way. And I know it can be intimidating, but I think that's just like part of the learning experience. I think coming to college is a huge learning. Well, it's like can be intimidating to be like, hey, I'm leaving the comforts of home. I'm leaving the comforts of, just like having that predictability, right? Or that financial security, you know, anything it may be, in order to try something new. And I think the same thing goes with starting something yourself.
Yeah.
And part of that too is, like Sam was saying, we pay to come and learn, but taking that next step to learn on our own has been big. And me and Sam have had the benefit of being in the Marriott School, and we have great resources with professors and other mentors around. And that's the one thing I would say for people who want to start a business is, regardless of what your major is, where you're at in school, you have people around you that have more experience than you that you can turn to and ask for help from, and professors and mentors that are all around you during your college time. So now it's a great time to start a business.
No, that's great advice. Now here at MSR, as indicated by the name Measuring Success, right, we're all about how do you measure success. For person to person, it varies. Now, how do you two, in your personal lives, in the business, academically, measure success?
So personally, what I love to do is I love to just measure things in my personal life. You know, like I'll have my goal, but I think success isn't necessarily like, did I achieve the goal or not? Because most of my goals are a little bit out of my comfort zone, right? And a lot of times I don't achieve those goals. But since I try to track, you know, my daily workouts or kind of my nutrition or any like other things financially or with Amber, right? There's goals that you try and meet, and it's seeing that growth by measuring it. And I think by seeing incremental progress and, hey, I'm doing better than I did last week, or the company's doing better than it did a month ago. And, you know, this has happened in the last 4 weeks, you know, looking back, and that is success to me, seeing that growth, seeing that progress. It might not be, did I cross the finish line, but I've gotten a lot further down the road than where I started.
Yeah, mine's a very simple or very similar answer to that. And I think that's just in your name with measuring success, right? Like Sam was saying, it's all about measuring, I think. And whether that's comparing two things, one thing compared to itself a week ago, a month ago, as long as you're keeping track of where you're going, that's how I see if I'm having success in my life. With Amber, it's easy to do that because we can see exactly how many sales we have, how many people visiting our website, all these different things. And I think in my personal life, it's a little harder because it's harder to measure some personal aspects. But I think as long as you're being conscious in growing and moving forward, measuring those things, you can see the success that you're having.
Yeah. No, those are great answers. And I feel you're right. It's measuring where you have been and setting those goals and looking forward. Now, Sam, Tanner, thank you so much. This has been really enlightening, and I'm sure all of our listeners appreciate your experiences and advice about how to balance school, work, and being entrepreneurs. So I thank you for that.
Thanks, Tanner.
Thank you for all those listening to Measuring Success Right.
Make sure you subscribe to our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or SoundCloud so you never miss an episode. Be a friend and tell a friend about Measuring Success Right.
This podcast is a project of the Marriott Student Review at Brigham Young University. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Marriott Student Review or online at marriottstudentreview.org.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect official policy or position of Brigham Young University or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.